Excellent, thank you. We will reconvene our open session of the meeting. I believe it is 1 o'clock on the dot. We are rising from closed session with a report, and the report being that council appoint Justin Schofield to the Business Improvement Area Board of Management for the 2022-2026 term of council. We already have a motion for that. Mover and a seconder for that report. Moved by Council Burns, second by Deputy Mayor Huntley. All in favor? That is approved. Next item is a delegation. We have Kristen Fitzgerald, who's presenting on behalf of the Millbrook Figure Skating Club with regards to a jumping harness. Kristen, welcome. Justin, I didn't forget, sorry.
And good afternoon, and thank you for having us. My name is Kristen Fitzgerald. I am the president of the Millbrook Skating Club. This is Justin McGill, and he is the treasurer of our club. We are here today to put forth our proposal to gain approval for the installation of a harness system at the CMCC for our Star Skate skaters to use to assist them in the progression of their spins and jumps. A little bit of background. We had a harness system installed in the old Millbrook Arena. The harness operated by way of a pulley system and was installed to the structural components of the ceiling of the building and allowed our coaches to use their body weight to elevate our skaters off the ice so that they could rotate in the air and get their position down pat and build confidence, which then could be used on the ice when they transitioned to jumping or spinning on their own. When the CMCC was built, we were advised that our harness could not be installed, and instead we were given a pole-style harness system to use as an alternative. Unfortunately, this pole-style harness operates much like a fishing pole in the sense that it is held in the hands of a coach who is then required to follow the skater around and attempt to lift the skater off of the ice. Our coaches are just simply not strong enough for this, and as a result, the harness has been used twice in the 6 years that we've been at the new arena. Being a small club, we are constantly competing with bigger clubs like Peterborough and the clubs that operate out of the Durham area. We have consistently lost our older and higher level skaters to these clubs and need to find incentives for these skaters to stay. We rely heavily on these skaters to successfully operate our Can Skate programs for our younger skaters. For reference, this past season, we had 148 skaters registered for our programs. Of those skaters, about 115 were Can skaters. Each Can Skate session is organized into groups based on ability, and each group requires a coach and program assistant, or our older, higher level skaters, to make sure our groups run smoothly and our skaters are progressing as they should throughout the season. If we continue to lose our older and higher level skaters, then we will have to reduce the number of Can skaters that we can accommodate. The want for skating lessons in Millbrook is extremely high right now. Each session, our Can Skate programs run at full capacity, and most of our programs have wait lists. For the past 2 seasons, we have run a Star Skate synchronized skating team, again, as an incentive for our older and higher level skaters. The ability to install and begin to utilize the harness would be another great incentive for our Star Skate skaters going forward. I have visited multiple skating facilities within the past few years with my son's hockey and lacrosse, and most facilities that offer Skate Canada programming have harnesses installed. All of these facilities are multi-use facilities like the CMCC is. Now getting into some of the technical aspects. We have done our research in relation to the installation, maintenance, and use of such a harness, as there have been a number of changes since we last had the harness installed at the old arena. We have coordinated with LifeSafe Engineering and Service Group Figure Skating Harness Supply and Installation Company. They have done numerous installations and annual inspection certifications in Ontario and are approved by Skate Canada. We would be planning to bring them in annually to certify the harness for insurance purposes. The process for the harness installation would be as follows. LifeSafe Engineer would attend the CMCC to assess the proper installation method for the building. This would be about a $5,000 cost and a cost that our skating club is prepared to cover. This company has been used by other skating clubs within Ontario and is not only Skate Canada, but also Skate Ontario approved. The installation plan would then be drafted by LifeSafe and forwarded to the club and the township for review. The installation of the jumping harness, which is an estimated cost of $12,000 to $15,000, again, another cost that the club is prepared to cover, would take approximately 8 hours to complete. The hope is that this installation can be completed while the ice is out for the spring and early summer timeframe. The club is also prepared to cover the cost of any lost revenue for the duration of the installation. The skating harness equipment would be added to the club's insurance policy through Skate Canada. There would be an annual inspection required. That again is a cost that the club is prepared to cover with an estimated cost of $600 to $1,000 annually. Before moving forward with the site visit, we would like to get a firm grasp on the township appetite to allow this install, as the cost to just design is $5,000. As we are a nonprofit organization that is run by volunteers and make our money on registration fees of our skaters, we would not be able to move forward with the site visit without confirmation that the installation would be approved. We have confirmed with our insurance company that our insurance would cover the installation and use of such a harness and are prepared to cover all the costs associated with this installation process and any ongoing annual inspection fees. We are hoping to obtain approval now so that we can have the installation occur in the summer when there is no ice in at the CMCC. Aside from any questions, that is our proposal.
Awesome. Thank you very much for the delegation. That's very poignant. I don't think you're going to find much in the way of objections. It was unfortunate that the pre-existing harness wouldn't work in the new facility, but you know, I think I know I speak for myself, but there's a lot of appetite to hopefully, you know, work with staff and figure out a way to get this installed. I think it's the right time of year, obviously, as you mentioned, with the ice out, and I know Chris will be more than happy to work with your staff and the various partners involved. So I think we can definitely work with you and explore this and make it happen. And I was going to suggest maybe in addition, I'm thinking of a motion just to sort of encapsulate this, but it might be with regards to some of the costs associated with it, might be something that Bridget might be able to look into from a funding opportunity. If there's any sort of, there's been a lot of rumors about rec funding. I'm not sure if it's specific to this, but you know, it might be something that she could explore to see if there's any sort of opportunities from a municipal standpoint of funding applications, being the non-for-profit that you guys are, but maybe helping to offset those costs as well. So I think that was something that I was thinking that we could just add to that to sort of save what's available, and stuff's always coming available. And it's always nice to have ideas in mind of what we can apply for. So maybe that will also be able to help. Any questions from council? Councilor Byrne.
Through the chair, you've raised my curiosity. I know nothing about this. Is this something that would travel the length of the arena, or is this going to be one specific area that's going to be used? And obviously you've had this before. The other one wasn't ruined or damaged or worn out. It was just, we got rid of the building. And is there any way to modify it?
As far as where it's going to be placed, it's going to be, every building's different essentially, and how the harness moves, and newer ones, up-to-date ones to retrofit, we're not going to find anybody to do it at a cost that's reasonable or that's going to suit the new building. As far as the installation goes, because of the way the supports run in this arena, we're ideally looking to pick either end zones, I'm going to call them, or behind the net type of areas. So it can run on a retractor system, so it can travel along the ice widthwise. And then what was the other part? Sorry.
If the other harness was.
Yeah, essentially that's with the old, yeah, but the old one's not going to work. We're not going to find any suitable way to retrofit. And the new one's going to be positioned hopefully along a retracting system that goes along the ice. So it won't be traveling the entire lengthway of the ice, just the width on one of the sides on a support beam, I'm presuming.
Excellent. Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Chair, not so much a question, just more comments, and thank you so much for, not just bringing us a problem, but bringing the solution with it. We don't get that very often, so thank you very much for that. And just secondly, I've seen in a lot of arenas the harnesses that you're speaking of, and yeah, they're fantastic. And I think the concept of being able to keep our youth available to stay in our own community and help train the next generation of youth is, what we really got to be striving for. So thank you again for your presentation.
Well, we've had a gold medalist in the Paralympics, so maybe, this will be the foundation to build something in the figure skating club. You got to start somewhere. So with regards to a motion, it would just be to receive the delegation and direct staff to work with the Millbrook Figure Skating Club on the potential installation of the harness and all of the nuances in that regard, and then as well for staff to explore any potential funding opportunities to support the installation. Okay, that's the motion. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Deputy Mayor Huntley, second by Councillor Natchap. All in favor? That is approved. Thank you very much for coming today. And Chris, all the best in working with them moving forward while we have the season available to us. Thanks for coming. All right, next item is minutes. We have the minutes of the regular meeting held March 16th be approved as presented, moved by Councillor Burns, second by Councillor Natchap. All in favor? That is approved. We have minutes from committees and boards. That the minutes of Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting held on November 27th, 2025 and January 22nd, 2026, and the minutes of the Municipal Revitalization and Heritage Advisory Committee meeting held on January 15th, 2026, and the minutes of the Millbrook Valley Trails Advisory Committee meeting held on January 26th, 2026. A lot of 26s in that one. And the minutes of the Sustainability Advisory Committee held January 29th, 2026 be approved as presented. Moved by Councillor Burns, second by Councillor Natchap. All in favor? Those are approved. And lastly, we have the minutes of the regular Cavan Monaghan Public Library Board meeting of February 17th be received for information. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Natchap, seconded by Councillor Edgerton. All in favor? Those are approved. Okay, we are at the report section. Ms. Ellis is up first with planning on the McCamus subdivision application. Ms. Ellis.
Mayor Graham, members of council, planning report 2026-07 is before you today with recommendations regarding a McCamus subdivision application located in the hamlet of Ida in part of lot 12, concession 11. There is a key map provided in the report. If you could flip to that page, Mark, I would appreciate it. Just to give council an idea of where the subject lands. So the subject lands are located in a hamlet designation as identified in the Cavan Monaghan Township official plan. The lands are currently vacant, but are part of a larger agricultural property. The lands subject to this application are located between existing residential lots on both the east and west sides and on the south side of Sharp Line. North of the subject lands is the remainder of the property, which is currently in use agriculturally and will continue to be used agriculturally. The plan of subdivision application was submitted to Peterborough County, who then submitted it to the township for review and comment. The application proposes a 5-lot residential subdivision for single detached dwellings on private services, i.e. well and septic. Each of the lots will be approximately 0.286 hectares or 0.7 acres in size, with frontage of 33.31 meters or 109 feet of frontage on Sharp Line. The plan of subdivision is before you today, and you can see the 5 lots as identified with, they're the longer ones just to the left of the page. Documentation to support the application was submitted to Peterborough County and to the township. So there was a sketch showing the proposed lots. There was a planning justification report, traffic impact study, stage 1, stage 2 archaeological assessment, stormwater management, servicing options, hydrogeological and site servicing assessment, environmental impact study, and a geotechnical investigation report. So all of those studies have been reviewed by township staff, and there's been quite some discussion about this plan of subdivision in terms of lot size and servicing. So the plan has been reviewed in terms of the provincial planning statement from 2024, the Township of Cavan Monaghan official plan, the Peterborough County official plan, and the township zoning bylaw. After a thorough review and discussion among township staff, we believe that the application does conform to the PPS, the county official plan, and the township's official plan. A zoning bylaw amendment will be required to facilitate the development of the lots. In discussion with township staff, there was some concern about the size of the lots related to servicing and the private servicing that is required. Because of the soil conditions on site, tertiary treatment system is required. That's something that we have permitted in other instances in the township, but it's not It's not a usual thing, but it has been permitted. So after some discussion, township staff have got their minds around and we have accepted the tertiary treatment system as a viable way to service a lot. But we have requested and will be recommending to Peterborough County that they include it as a condition that A, we do a rezoning, and B, the rezoning reflect the fact that a tertiary treatment system is required. By including that requirement in the zoning, it is a public document. Everybody will see it. It will be on the public record for while the zoning is in full force and effect. With the plan of subdivision application, it is a Peterborough County application. We are a commenting agency. So in this report, we've provided comments about the policy framework. We've also provided council with a number of draft plan conditions. The application, because it is a Peterborough County application, it is up to them to circulate the application in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act. As per Peterborough County's standard notification procedure, they put notice of this application in the Peterborough Examiner. That notification satisfies the requirements of the Planning Act. In the township of Cavan Monaghan, we will be processing the zoning bylaw amendment. We do have the application. We have tentatively scheduled it for the second meeting in May. Through that application, we will be circulating the standard process of mailing by first-class prepaid mail to all assessed persons within 120 meters of the lands being rezoned. And we will also be posting a sign on the site. Then we will require a public meeting and people will be given a chance to talk about the zoning bylaw amendment at that time. So having said all of that, the recommendations before council today are that planning report 2026-07 be received for information. Secondly, that council support the approval of application 15T-25001 in principle. And thirdly, that the subdivision be subject to the township draft plan conditions provided in attachment number 3 to the report. And lastly, that the township comments be forwarded to the Peterborough County Planning Department.
Thank you, Ms. Ellis. You stole my thunder on one of the questions with regards to the dissemination or the circulation of notice to in the 120-meter radius. So just for clarity, so when that comes to our level for the ZBA, that's when we will conduct that. Is that all? Is there any size, like with regards to the county, and maybe this is something that the deputy mayor and I can mention, just it seems, is there a threshold where that circulation or that notice and publications meets the criteria? Is it because it's a smaller, like a 5-unit subdivision, but all plans of subdivision over 4 is a plan of subdivision? So I would imagine it's treated the same, but I was surprised that there's not a requirement at the county for a bit more public dissemination of information about what's going on. Is that something that's related to the development in question, or is that just the county's always been it that way and it meets their requirements, so that's just what they do?
To you, Mayor Graham and members of council, I did follow up with Peterborough County. So historically, this has not been an issue for us because we've always had another application that we process at the same time. So we did the mailing part and they did the newspaper part. In this particular case, we decided to wait until we had some flavor about that we could sort the application before we did the rezoning. So it is a standard procedure at Peterborough County. I would suggest to you, being bold, that if I was in charge, I would have done a mailing as well. And we do that because I believe that that's important, but it is a standard procedure for them. The procedure applies, it doesn't matter how many lots are on the plan of subdivision. What they have done in terms of placing the notice in the Peterborough Examiner does meet the circulation requirements under the Planning Act as we know it today.
Thank you for that. Yeah, it's definitely something Deputy Mayor and I can be ready to comment on when the next time that legislation comes up. So that's great. Thank you for answering that question. Questions, members of council? Councilor Brand.
Through the chair, first on that note, because the Peterborough Examiner probably doesn't reach very many of the people that would be impacted by this subdivision plan, as whereas the Millbrook Times is a free delivery that would reach all these people. So that kind of bothers me, but I'm curious about, you mentioned that it was a soil type that was dictating this tertiary septic system, which is relying on manual maintenance, and there's really I don't think there's any stringent rules on that once it's in ground. And just south of this same plan subdivision, just in the last few years, the lot size was the problem for maintaining a proper septic. And at that time, the tertiary one wasn't going to be acceptable for I don't know what all reasons. I'm just wondering what's changed in the regulations? And is it the size of the lots or is it the soil type that is dictating this idea of the tertiary septic?
Through you, Mayor Graham, to Councillor Byrne and other members of council. So historically in Cabin Monaghan, the minimum lot size requirement for a lot on private services has been about an acre in size. Then when we did the new zoning bylaw back in 2018, there was some discussion about whether an acre lot size in a hamlet area was appropriate, because at that point in time, we had started the march toward more dense development. So at that time, the minimum lot size was reduced to about 3/4 of an acre. But the ability to service with private servicing does depend on the soil conditions on the property. In this particular location of Cabin Monaghan, the scientific information prepared by qualified individuals came back and said that with the lot sizes and the soil conditions, then the nitrate attenuation could not be achieved as per the provincial regulations at the lot line. So that is what is dictating the tertiary treatment system. So I can tell you that back when we did Cameron Court, the tertiary treatment system was a newer kind of technology. At that point in time, Peterborough City County Health Unit was responsible for issuing the septic permits. They had a policy and they did not support tertiary treatment. Since that time, as you're all aware, they no longer are responsible. We are. And we had significant discussion in the planning and building department about this application and the requirement for tertiary treatment. And is it a requirement that we move in this direction? Is it not? And after much, we talked to qualified professionals. There was some, Kathleen is involved in her professional group getting advice. And after all of our research and discussion, we determined as professional staff that a tertiary treatment system in this location is appropriate. We did not name the particular type of tertiary treatment that will be required, but it will be required to meet that nitrate attenuation at the lot line. They do require maintenance, and that will be a requirement of the homeowners for these lots.
Follow-up question, Councilor Byrne?
So, well, just out of all that, I get it. But if the lot size was larger, would it support a regular septic system? The other thing I wanted to ask was on the hamlet boundaries, because it mentions on there, what are the rules in place today to change the boundaries of a hamlet designation?
Through you, Mayor Graham, to Councillor Byrne and members of council. So if you want to service these lands by individual private servicing with a standard conventional class 4 system, we believe that the number of lots would be reduced from 5 to 2. So that's the difference that it makes. In terms of determining where the hamlet designation boundaries go, so we have an approved official plan with boundaries in it today. The way to change those boundaries is preferably through our municipal comprehensive review or our new official plan. So when we do our new official plan, starting later this year, we will be looking at our existing hamlet boundaries in conjunction with our growth management information to determine what, if any, additional land is required to accommodate growth in the hamlet areas. As per the recent changes in the Planning Act, our provincial government has permitted anybody to file a site-specific official plan amendment to permit an expansion of the hamlet. That is a change. That is a dramatic change from where we were before. So now anyone can apply to change the designation boundaries, provided that they do the homework and provide justification on why it's appropriate and where the boundaries are, the servicing, traffic, environmental information, hydrogeological information. All of that information will be required to change the hamlet designation boundary.
The ever-changing world of planning. Deputy Mayor, and then I'll come back to Councilor Byrne.
Through you, Chair, just on that, Ms. Ellis, I thought there was something about it being contiguous, right? So any lot that was contiguous to a hamlet also kind of got pulled into it. And but anyway, you can comment on that one, maybe left field. But the other thing is, like you said, that this would go from 5 lots to 2 lots if we were kind of working with our traditional sizing for septic systems. If that was the case, then this wouldn't be under a a plan of subdivision. So actually, because it's bigger, because it's under a planned subdivision, we do actually get more reports and a little bit more technical information about what's going on here. So it's, I think this is a case where it's actually, better in the sense of, one, we're getting denser population, and two, we have a little bit more data to kind of work with at the same time. So just comment on that side.
Well, and hopefully ideally that with the smaller lot, there's, less land being exchanged, so that hopefully the prices could also be somewhat more affordable, you would think as well. Councilor Byrne, back to you, sorry.
Through the chair, back to Ms. Ellis. I was told a long time ago, and I just wondered if it's changed. Some of the criteria for hamlet boundary changes was that if it didn't cross a roadway, if it didn't cross a waterway, if it didn't cross a railway, is that still criteria? Is that still valid?
Through you, Mayor Graham, to Councillor Byrne and members of council. So there is an interpretation clause in the current township official plan that says that an official plan designation boundary is somewhat flexible, except where it crosses a road, a creek, or a firm boundary. So the designation boundaries are more flexible. Zoning bylaw boundaries are firm. Okay, so that gives staff and council and members of the public, landowners, a little bit of wiggle room sometimes in terms of where the designations apply. So it means that you don't always have to apply for an official plan amendment to permit a development that is appropriate at that location. So it's a flexibility in terms of interpretation.
Okay. Well, I want to get back to the application and before us here. So with regards to this specific application, is there any other questions about the recommendations? Again, this is just getting it through the county portion of the process with our comments. And then obviously there's the municipal portion for the zoning bylaw amendment, as Ms. Ellis alluded to. But if no other questions, then we have the 4 recommendations. I think we can do them all together as they all pertain to the same thing. So again, a mover and a seconder for those 4 recommendations of the report. Moved by Councillor Natchez, second by Deputy Mayor Huntley, all in favor. That is approved. Next item is 11.2, road occupancy permits for 2026 events. Ms. Aya.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The report before council is ECD 2026-03, the road occupancy permits for 2026 special events. With 2 recommendations that council authorize staff to issue road occupancy permits for special events on county roads in the township for events, festivals scheduled for 2026, as outlined in table 1 in the report. And the second recommendation that the township of Cabot-Monaghan provide a certificate of insurance to the county of Peterborough for the scheduled 2026 events/festivals listed in this report. Council will remember this is a standard report that we bring forward every year.
Thanks, Ms. Aya. So these are the ones that we have, a lot of them are annual, so there's that. But if there are future events or new events that come up, obviously that it doesn't prohibit those from considerations, or if they do require a road, occupancy permit, they can come. But this is to sort of get the majority of the ones out of the way at one point and give them that surety so they can keep ramping up the plans to get those. You don't have that, that's fine. I can see you nodding. Any questions? If not, Councillor Byrne, question?
Through the chair, not a question. I just like to highlight how useful the old road is around by the old mill pond for all these detours and attractions that we put on in Millbrook. These and among others. Just wanted to highlight that, please.
Okay, next, with regards to the motions and the recommendations, can I get a mover and a seconder for the road occupancy permits for the 2 recommendations? Moved by Councillor Edgerton, seconded by Deputy Mayor Huntley, all in favor. That is approved. Next item is, excuse me, 11.3, Corporate Services Integrity Commissioner, Ms. Page.
Thank you, Mayor Graham, to yourself and the rest of council. Before you is Corporate Services Report 2026-09, and this is your annual report from the Integrity Commissioner. As well, there's a second recommendation as a follow-up from our February 17th meeting. We did approve to amend the agreement to allow a 2-year extension with potential 2-year. However, when we went to renew that agreement, our compensation does not align with the other municipal fees. So Mr. Fleming has come back and asked that we amend the agreement to align with the other fees, and that's what's before council. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Just a formality really to continue on. We have required the Integrity Commission services, so this does that. Any questions? If not, we'll look for a mover and a second for the 2 recommendations of the report. Moved by Deputy Mayor Huntley, seconded by Councillor Natchez. All in favor? That is approved. Lastly, council committee verbal reports. Any committee reports for council? Councillor Natchez.
Thank you through you, Chair. Just a on the Millbrook Valley Trails, we had scheduled our workday for the first Saturday in May, weather permitting. If not, then it will follow on the following Saturday. Otherwise, that's all.
Councillor Burke.
Through the chair, I'd just like to give a shout out to the people on the works crew that did all the work back on the back of the 13th near the swamp. Made an awful difference this spring with the floodwaters. It seems to be working well. Thank you.
You, Deputy Mayor Huntley.
I just wanted to congratulate the mayor on his new addition to his family and welcome Clark to the as of last Friday, and congratulations to yourself and Beth.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And yeah, with that great new addition and new excitement, I just wanted to pass on my appreciation to PRHC, specifically Dr. Packenham and Dr. Delatella, who helped navigate through us. I think there's a lot of criticisms about the health services, but at PRHC, I can tell you that the maternity ward and all the people that we dealt with were just fantastic. And it's a dramatic and emotional and frightening thing at times, I think. But they were just out of this world and fantastic, and we couldn't be happier with the result of their work. So thank you for that. And lastly, we did have a library board meeting. It was postponed a week due to some illnesses on the board, but we talked about just validating the final submission for the DC study and also a few other amenities that we're working on project wise around the committee as well. So with that, we'll look for a motion to receive those committee verbal updates. Moved by Councillor Burns, seconded by Councillor Natchez. All in favor? That is approved. There is no general business. There is no correspondence for action. There is no correspondence for information. The bylaws, that bylaw number 2026-17 being a bylaw to amend, bylaw number 2020-47 being a bylaw to appoint the integrity commissioner, be read a first, second, third time and passed the 7th day of April, signed by the mayor and the clerk, and the corporate seal attached thereto. Moved by Councillor Burns, seconded by Councillor Natchez. All in favor? That is approved. There is no unfinished business. There are no notices of motion. The confirming bylaw, that bylaw number 2026-18 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the meeting held April 7th, 2026, be read a first, second, third time and passed the 7th day of April, signed by the mayor and the clerk, and the corporate seal attached thereto. Can I get a mover for the confirming bylaw? Moved by Councillor Burns, seconded by Councillor Edgerton. All in favor? That is approved. Lastly, motion to adjourn today's meeting. Moved by Deputy Mayor Huntley, seconded by Councillor Natchez. All in favor? That is approved. There's a number of upcoming meetings and events, so bear with me as I go through them. We have our Earth Day celebration coming up. It's going to run from 12 to 4 p.m. at the CMCC, and there will also be Meet Your Municipal Team, which will be running in conjunction from 12 to 2. So not the entirety of the 4 hours, but for the first 2. And again, that's at the CMCC. And we look forward to seeing you there. The next regular council meeting is Monday, April 20th at 1 p.m. The council or Cabin Monaghan Public Library Board meeting is next on April 21st at 7 p.m. The Cabin Monaghan Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting is Monday, April 27th at 1 p.m. And the Millbrook Valley Trails Advisory Committee meeting is Monday, April 27th at 4 p.m. And the subsequent regular council meeting will be Monday, May 4th at 1 p.m. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you in the township. Take care.